A text says, "You're on my mind." A bouquet from 1-800-Flowers says, "You're my everything." Heartfelt moments belong in the real world, not just your phone. For 50 years, 1-800-Flowers has helped millions of people make memories that'll last a lifetime with gifts they'll cherish forever. Their expertly curated arrangements and gift baskets ship nationwide with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Don't wait for the next big moment. Make it when you visit 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.
You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
You're listening to Mission Log the Orville, an episode-by-episode discussion of the adventures of the crew of the USS Orville.
Welcome to another episode of Mission Log the Orville, a Roddenberry podcast, the show where we go inside every episode of the Orville and...
Wait, what do you mean inside?
Oh, well, like, not outside.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Okay. Where we go inside every episode of the Orville to look for meanings, morals, and messages, and to see if it aligns with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy. This week, the final episode of Season 2, The Road Not Taken, where we deal with the repercussions of Kelly ghosting Ed, and the crew comes together to make things right. I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi.
And I'm Mike Richards. Mission Log the Orville is a conversation that depends on your participation. Share your thoughts, ideas, and tell us what we missed at ML_the Orville on Twitter, Mission Log Pod on Facebook, and you can also email us at missionlog-the-Orville at roddenberry.com. And if you're watching this on the Roddenberry YouTube channel, please hit like and subscribe. And remember, we may use your comments on an upcoming episode. And we have a comment.
We have a comment.
We do. We have a comment we'd like to share from Mission Log patron and co-host of the Sci-fi Pubcast, Carrie Blackfire. Carrie commented on the Mission Log Discord that the researcher who conducted the blue eyes versus brown eyes exercise that you mentioned in our coverage of the episode Sanctuary, where you tell some kids that if they have blue eyes, they'll be superior. If they have brown eyes, they'll be inferior, and kind of reinforce those stereotypes, just to give the kids one day of knowing what it would feel like to be the victims of prejudice. Her name is Jane Elliott. And you can watch a documentary about that experiment on YouTube, which is linked in the comments of Mission Log the Orville, episode 212 Sanctuary, on the Roddenberry YouTube channel.
Thank you so much, Carrie Blackfire. Sometimes I have a hard time. I know things, I remember things, but then remembering names or just a key detail, very hard for me.
Sure, and we do our research ahead of time, but sometimes the conversation just kind of explodes into many different directions, and we don't have those names maybe prepared and stuff. Trust me, I know. I didn't.
Right.
I thought Tim Russ played Tuvix a couple of weeks ago,
and so that's okay. It happens.
Please let us know. Yeah,
Jane Elliott has gone viral in this day and age many times over, and it's really an eye opener, for lack of a better pun.
It sure is. got through about the first half of it before I had to stop it to join you for this. Our last final episode of season 2. So we've got 26 episodes, 20 that we covered in 25 different podcasts / videos. Mm-hmm. And we started doing this, I think, early November when we published our first episode. And we were humping pretty hard to get ready for season 3, which is originally supposed to premiere on March 10th. And then that got delayed to June 2nd, which gave us a little bit of breathing room. So we kind of skipped a week here and there. And this episode will drop on the 13th of April. So that'll give us a couple of months to await season 3. And we're trying to line up a couple of interviews with folks familiar with the production. And I would say, if you have any ideas on anything you'd like to hear us discuss in a supplemental episode, just go ahead and hit us up in the manner most convenient to you. We gave you all the options, and you can rewind about 1 minute to hear those. Jessica, any ideas you have for supplemental episodes or things that you might want to
think of like one or two or three people that I'd like to talk to.
Okay, so sort of interview based.
Yeah, I mean, like,
okay.
I don't need an excuse to talk about this show, and I would love to talk with you two other people about this show.
Well, I'll miss you if we don't talk for 2 months, so that's good enough excuse for me to come up with a supplemental. One thing that was suggested by our Mission Log Prodigy co-host, Norman C. Lau, was possibly covering the comics, season 1.5 and 2.5. So that's something that we may do that. Let us know if you like that idea or not. We'd be very interested in hearing your thoughts. And without further ado, here's Jessica with the recap.
Knuckle crack. Two masked beings rummage through an abandoned Union outpost on a distant planet looking furiously for something important. They find something, but their presence has not gone unnoticed. A Kalon ship lands and deploys their gunheads to pursue them. The two beings make it to a scruffy-looking Union shuttle with no time to spare. They remove their masks and reveal to us equally scruffy men, Gordon Malloy and Ed Mercer. The pursuing Kalon make it impossible for the men's shuttle to jump to quantum drive, and in typical quick-thinking fashion, Gordon navigates them to the inside of an ice moon to buy them time and prep the drive. Ed commands Gordon to face the Kalon ship to Gordon's surprise, but does so. Ed shoots the cavern walls and massive ice cliffs fall onto the Kalon ship and allow them to finally achieve quantum drive. After the escape, we learn that the Kalon have wiped out nearly half of the known galaxy in just under 9 months. Wow, how long has this show been off the air? Well, there's one society that isn't wiped out, the Calavans, and although they are dangerous as well, what isn't? Maybe the inside of a zoo isn't looking so bad, is it? Oh, by the way, that important thing that they stole from the outpost, a replicating machine primed and ready to make Twinkies. Very important. The shuttle falls out of quantum drive and is locked onto by a scavenger ship. Ed is not about to let his skin be made into a suit and vows to fight in hopes of not letting a Twinkie be their last meal. They are aborted and the boys are braced, but not for what happens next. Kelly walks in and is flanked by Dr. Finn, John Lamar, and Tala Kiali, who look a little different than we are used to. Ed is surprised to see her. Gordon is surprised Ed knows her, and Kelly says that her not going on a second date with Ed is kind of the reason she's here now. Kelly does her best to explain to Ed how things should have played out if she had said yes to a second date with him, but that an unsuccessful memory wipe led to her creating an alternate timeline. If Ed Mercer had been the captain of the Orville like he was supposed to, the Kalon would have been defeated. It wasn't hard for everyone else in the crew to believe her because she knew things about them that only someone who had been there could know. The plan is to try Kelly's memory wipe again to reset the timeline. It will take this time if they give her the proper injection beforehand, but the injection isn't synthesizable. Thankfully, an underground resistance is still in operation and Lamar has it in. The whole crew is back together and everyone heads to the bridge, leaving Kelly and Ed to have an awkward conversation. Kelly tells Ed that she did what she thought was best, and Ed says that her not calling him back and ghosting him felt like the end of the world. And it's strange, because it seems he was right. After navigating a dangerous asteroid field next to a black hole, they find the planet that the Resistance is on. John, Kelly, Claire, and Ed shuttle down, leaving Tala and Gordon on board to scan for Kalon and to keep an eye on Claire's kids. The camouflaged base is found, and who else is the head of this faction but Halston Sage? Alara Katan. It seems that John and Lara have some shared history besides just serving on the Orville together, but no time for that. Alara gives Dr. Finn the protein serum. The Kalon finally find their base, and the scruffy crew have to exit the back way to get back to their shuttle. The planet is getting attacked, the ship is getting attacked, and holy crap, I think they just blew up the entire base, and it's goodbye to Alara Katan again. They killed her off this time.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I know. Yeah, I was like, why is that a big explosion? Because they killed her. The ground crew reaches the shuttle and is able to take off after subduing a Kalon with a sex joke. Gordon enlists Ty, Claire's son, to help with rescuing the shuttle, and with the perfectly timed tractor beam, the shuttle crashes safely into the shuttle bay. But quantum drive is offline again. Looks like it's time to hug the donkey with some asteroids and a black hole. I'm sure the science checks out, but they hide in the black hole just close enough to not get sucked in, but to also not be detected. Even better, a few seconds of time in a black hole is hours to the Kalon, and they eventually gave up looking for them. Now comes the tricky part. They have to head to the Orville because Isaac's remains of the Aronoff device are still there, and that's what bungled all of this up in the first place. And yes, the Kalon did destroy Earth, but they believe that the Orville is still intact at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Ever the romantic, Ed feels that there is no time like the present to have a second date with Kelly. They have a lot of catching up to do, and it seems that he really never stopped thinking about her in the last 7 years. And he also never really achieved his goal of becoming a captain. Ed asks what he was like in the other timeline, and she explains that he was a gentleman and sweet, that despite future and past Kelly truly loving Ed, she had only hoped to spare them both from regretful hurt that they had caused each other. The upside, I guess, is that if they succeed in sending Kelly back with the memory wipe, this all will never have happened. I think that was a good sentence. They arrive at a dead and gray Earth with a decimated moon. They locate the Orville 7 miles down in the ocean. The shuttle is the only thing that could possibly handle that pressure, and so off they go. Everyone piles on, which is a little dumb because they aren't sure if the shuttle can even handle it, but here we go. Just as the shuttle is about to break, they achieve the Orville, which thankfully has open doors and minimal life support still working. They realize they're not alone, as Tala reports there is one additional life sign somewhere else on the ship. The crew reaches a bleak-looking bridge, but is attacked by Bortus. Oh yeah, Bortus! Where's he been this whole time? Bortus stayed on the ship to make sure that all the escape pods escaped. Topa and Clyden, his family, also escaped, and the thought of eventually reuniting with them has sustained Bortus. So I guess now is not a good time to mention that Mockless was destroyed. After they take a second to convince Bortus that the timeline is borked anyway, they now convince Ed to take the captain's chair and command the Orville into space. After a couple of tenuous moments, Ed and Gordon are able to navigate the Orville through the treacherous waters and into orbit. Well, yes, okay, so now the aeronaut thing is there, but it's incomplete, and the only one who can finish it is Isaac, but his remains are on Kalon. John realizes that he might be able to tap into the central brain hub of the Kalon and retrieve the missing ingredients. Meanwhile, Ed decides to grab himself a drink at the deserted bar. Kelly finds him and joins him for one. While this timeline is objectively horrible, Kelly says that being with Ed gave her a sense of comfort and almost makes her want to hide out and settle down with Ed. If they fail, maybe they'll do just that. They seal their promise with a kiss. There's a plan, but it makes them sitting ducks and will guide the Kalon directly toward them while also leaving them completely vulnerable in order to send Dr. Finn to the right point in time and wipe Kelly's memory. It's on like Donkey Kong, and John finally finds Isaac in the sea of zeros and ones and awakes him. Claire bids her children adieu, and she promises to meet them in a better place than they are now, and time is waning as Kalon vessels are indeed approaching swiftly. The Aronoff device needs all the power it can get to send Claire into the past. Ed asks Kelly to marry him if it doesn't work, which is kind of moot because the ship is either going to explode or the Kalon will destroy them. The engine begins to fail moments before the device sends Claire off. The ship does explode, and we see Kelly, a young Kelly, asleep in bed, waking up to an alarm. She orders some coffee and then is whooshed out of existence. The coffee drops and Kelly is whooshed back, but this time prone on the floor, like the last time they sent her back in time. She wakes up discombobulated and disoriented and aware of the timeline that she just left. Before Kelly can break up with Ed, Claire whooshes in as well and tells Kelly that she can fix things. She administers the protein serum to Kelly and commences with the memory wipe again. Claire vanishes, and Kelly wakes up to a call from a young and eager Ed asking her out again. She says yes, and the rest is history.
Oh, that was so much fun. This is something I've kind of wanted to do with other episodes that I haven't done here. The titles always have kind of like a similar but culturally nuanced change in different as they're released in different countries because of language issues and language difference. So The Road Not Taken. In France, it was The Road I Didn't Take. German, The Other Way. Hungarian, The Road Untrodden. Italian, The Road Never Taken. Japanese, The Right Choice. Russian, Unselected Choice. And Spanish, The Road Not Chosen. Eventually, in Southern California, it's the Road Kelly Borked.
Oh my God, we totally borked that timeline.
I loved it. I do not know that I've ever heard the word borked before. But
you know exactly what it means. That's the best part about
100%.
that. Yeah.
Laughed out loud with that.
Yeah.
So fun episode, and it was written by David A. Goodman.
Good guy.
And from an interview that he did with Trek Movie, who we're all familiar with, in May of 2019, he, for those of you on the YouTube channel, making air quotes, he conceived of the plot while working on Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Originally, that episode was conceived as a self-contained story that would reset when past Kelly returned to her time. And we talked about that a little bit in last week's episode. Sure.
Yeah.
However, Goodman overheard someone in the writing staff suggest that she turns past Ed down when she returns. So he heard that and conceived the idea. He said, and I quote, "I started thinking what that would mean. Ed wouldn't get the Orville, and that means Claire wouldn't be on the Orville, and that means that Marcus and Ty wouldn't become friends with Isaac, and that means the Kalon would have won. So what I just pitched happened in around 5 minutes, and Seth realized right then, there's your season finale. Yeah. This big adventure story taking place in this alternative timeline."
I'm so glad that we have it. I think they even admit in the episode prior to this that that time is confusing, that time travel is confusing. They don't know what the implications on. Does it make an alternate timeline? Did it erase their actual history? Or
Jessica, if you want to get into a conversation about time travel logistics, I would rather chew Broken Glass.
You would rather chew it?
I would rather chew Broken Glass.
Oh my God! Did I say this last time?
I said that. I said that was Seth's line in last week's episode. Yeah,
but I love when Seth says, "Oh my God!" It's like one of my favorite things because he does it as Brian sometimes, and then he did it when he was at the. I
had this a little later on. He did it as Ted when he was eating the Twinkie.
Oh,
he immediately went into Ted mode.
It's just you just know that's how he is IRL. So it's
So I want every video game I play now to have Ted mode, where it just goes into snarky teddy bear.
Oh my God, yeah, I love that. I friggin' love it. Well, and gosh, how good would a Twinkie taste if you hadn't had
if you'd been eating, scraping bark off of trees for 9 months or whatever they're doing.
So here's what really upset me. I watched that scene, and it's so funny, right? They risk their lives for essentially a microwave, right? So,
I was thinking it was a microwave, though, a non-functioning microwave the whole time.
Just so funny. It's so smart to me, and I don't know where they get the stuff in order to replicate a Twinkie, but they have it, and it works out. But I looked up and I went, is a Twinkie vegan? And I knew that the answer was going to be no, but I didn't anticipate why.
One of the things I wanted to do that I thought of doing is getting, and I know you're doing the vegan thing, is getting a Twinkie, breaking it in half, and then trying to pass it across the screen to you.
You're talking about heartbeats in my improv show.
Oh, you do that?
Yeah. So we have the way we frame our camera is so it looks like. I have an over-the-shoulder camera looking at you, and someone will cut from scene to scene, and then they'll hand off a piece of paper, and you have a piece of paper right by your camera, so it looks like you snatch it back. It's movie magic.
It's multicam. It's multicam magic.
Can do it. So, but it has beef tallow in it.
Oh,
I know.
Plus all the other non-vegan. I'm sorry, all the other vegan stuff that's in there. You don't want to eat that anyway.
Well, I don't care. Just a little bit of crap every now and then is fine. Like, Oreos are full vegan, which is really great. Good news for me. But, like, I don't think you need to make a Twinkie have meat product that much.
I really don't.
Anyway, I'm sure it's delicious.
I don't think you do either. And we also have Gary Rakeback, who directed Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. 3 episodes in one. Music was by Joel McNeely, and you already mentioned our special guest star, Halston Sage, back as Alara Katan. How great was it to have her back? For upon my second rewatch, I realized how short the scene was that she was in it.
Right. And, so impactful, though.
Very impactful, and some sort of tension, I would say. I won't dare to speculate what kind of tension, but it certainly seemed like there was some tension between her and John Lamar.
Yeah, so it made me wonder that had Halston stayed on the show, would we have eventually seen John Lamar and Alara Katan try to date?
She tried to date everybody else.
Right. I think that's what we would have seen. I think.
Yeah.
Because I think we also would have gotten the Mocklin episode with the Mocklin that was attracted to women. I think he would have been attracted to Alara,
right,
as opposed to Tala. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
And oddly, it did seem weird to throw in that much history for something that didn't happen, but. That's just what made me think.
I liked it. It just kind of let you realize it's a different. It's just different reality. Different things happen. They had a different interaction, and there was definitely some shade being thrown, and some a little bit of innuendo and comments of a past relationship, I would say. Right. Not necessarily romantic relationship, but just a past relationship, how they interacted.
I mean, they definitely had sex.
Yeah.
They definitely did.
It would seem like it. Yeah. I mean, and God love them. Two young, good-looking people like that. Knock yourselves out.
Great.
Good, popular episode that capstoned a very strong second half of the season. In fact, the episode you mentioned before with the Mocklin who was attracted to females was Deflectors, and every episode since then has scored 8 or higher on IMDb. This episode currently holds an 8.6. I just kind of checked that today, which is pretty high. It's last week's episode, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, held an 8.3. 2 weeks after airing this episode, 20th Century Fox did renew the Orville for a 3rd season. There were some production delays as well as COVID, which led the show to be not ready for premiere the next television season, which led to it being moved to the streaming service Hulu, which we will watch on June 2nd.
Huh. Interesting, because if this aired a year before COVID, so
this aired April 25th. So theoretically, the next season would have been fall of 2019.
Right. So they must have gone into production issues prior to that.
Correct. So there were some production delays. So they were looking at it maybe being like a spring 2020 premiere.
Right.
And then that was when the bottom fell out.
Got it. Okay. I mean, listen, I couldn't be happier that even though time delay happened, we're getting another season.
Yeah.
Because
it's going to be good.
I'm thrilled. I'm so excited.
It's going to be like 11, 11 movies, 11 cinema quality movies is my prediction.
Well, don't get your hopes up. I don't ever want to go into anything with open like expectations. I think it's going to be enjoyable regardless. I do want to say the score was so excellent. I don't know if you could tell that there was like silent nods to some Star Wars, because we kind of got like I'm glad you're talking music. Usually it's me, but it was so many nods in this episode, and the music was so good. Yeah, it was exactly right. It punctuated what we were feeling, and it always is. Like the thing about this, and Seth's right on with knowing that an orchestra is like, live curated music for each episode, even if it's Family Guy, makes a difference. But it's just so enjoyable to hear. Well, I think they did some piccolo and stuff like that purposely because I think they used like locations similar to some Star Wars locations. That's how it felt to me.
Oh, yeah. That looked like a grassed over, Endor, shield generator plant. And
first one was Hoth.
Yeah, first one was Hoth. There was lots of Star Wars. So many tributes, so many things we'll talk about a little bit, maybe a little later on. But there were just so many nods to different sci-fi franchises.
Yeah, totally.
In this episode. And, just a little bit about the title in English, not the, Timeline Kelly Bork title, but the Road Not Taken is also the title of a famous poem by Robert Frost that ends with, I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So choices you make lead you to places where you are.
Yep. Not necessarily good or bad. It's just a choice.
It's just a choice.
Although Kelly did bork it, so.
She did bork it. She borked it.
That's not
big
her
time.
fault, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, she got sent into the future. We know this. I'm reiterating things we already know. She just thought that she was doing the right thing. And sometimes we all do think we're doing the right thing.
She was, I would say past Kelly was a victim of present Kelly, getting pulled into the future, learning things that she wasn't supposed to know.
Right.
And honestly, the conversation going back to that episode when Ed and Kelly were like, well, what do we do? Do we tell her anything? And Ed's like, well, we don't really know where this is going. We don't really know where this is going. So, my position is when in doubt, tell the truth. And they told her everything. It seems like they probably could have quarantined her for a day or two just to see how things were going.
But then we wouldn't have this episode.
Correct again. We could make a How It Should Have Ended episode out of it. Which would have been a very short one, but yeah, buddy time travel episodes like this one are great. Reminded me of Voyager with Chakotay and Harry Kim when they were in an alternate timeline, kind of trying to survive. I think they survived like 25 years or something like that. It was crazy. The episode Timeless, one of the more famous episodes of Voyager, and we'll get to that I think in about 3 years on the main mission log. I'm not exactly sure what season that is, but they're starting to cover Star Trek Voyager on mission log now.
Wow.
So be sure to rewatch Voyager and tune into that podcast as well. And you just can't let a Twinkie be your last meal, man. Like,
you know what? I don't think it's that bad.
There's worse ways to go.
I think so, too.
Yeah. I know, but
At least they
I
have
guess
something to fight for.
I guess if you only eat Twinkies, then that would ensure that it's your last meal. Have we seen the Kaelon head separation into flying gunships before? I think it was 2. I don't think we saw that before. You think they got any kind of like tracking device, homing, aiming software at all, or you think they're just went to the stormtrooper school of firing pew pews? To
their credit, I think that is what it is. Yeah, because they're a little too lucky, right? I just also don't know like how much stabilization they actually have for like shooting out of their head.
That's true. It's a small device. It's kind of asymmetrical, so it'd be difficult for it to be gyro stabilized. I get all that, but on another thing, why did I'm imagining Gordon landed the shuttle. Why did they land so far from the listening station? They could have parked right next to it.
Question. It's such a good question.
And then just walk over the frozen tundra. Not even, I guess it was snow-covered tundra.
Right.
Walk through that out in plain sight. It's not like they were even, trying to hide behind the trees and, get there all, incognito.
Would it have gotten the Kalon's attention sooner to arc that up, I guess.
I think landing far from your intended meeting place is such a sci-fi trope, and that gives you that dramatic walk.
Yes.
You know, it gives you that dramatic, you know, we saw it in Rogue One, we saw it in many, many episodes of Star Trek. For some reason right now, Star Trek V, the Final Frontier is popping into my head where, you know, they probably could have, you know, after, you know, making it all the way through the Great Barrier, they probably could have taken the shuttle a little bit closer to where the godlike entity was trying to get his hands on a starship. Why?
We wouldn't have a TV show. I will say, I really did not mind seeing 5 o'clock shadows on Ed and Gordon.
They look good.
They
did. It suited him well. I liked the kind of you know, rougher apparel that they were wearing.
It was
a little
definitely like dystopia outfits.
Right.
It's like
you know,
that's what we wore for our improvised dystopia with Ripley Improv. It's like like cool jackets, a little bit of green and brown. They look cool.
Exactly. And it wasn't like, you know, Gordon's, you know, J.C. Penney activewear that he was wearing to the environmental simulator to see Laura Huggins.
Oh God. I mean, you got to give him credit. He tried to clean it. It didn't have enough zippers. Maybe that's why he failed with Laura.
Always add another zipper. When in doubt, always go with one more zipper. Yeah. So Kelly said, have you ever heard of the Starship Orville before? Is that a term? Have they ever called it the Starship Orville on the show?
I can't recall.
Yeah, I've heard exploratory class vessel. I don't think I've ever heard them refer to it as a starship. But just kind of a long list of sort of the nods to maybe different sci-fi franchises that this episode has.
It is a starship, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't catch that, but that's a good catch. I'm curious now.
Did you catch the name of the captain of the alternate timeline?
No, I didn't
Orville?
listen. No.
Captain Griffith.
Peter Griffith?
Well, I didn't say Peter, but it was Captain Griffith.
Well, because Peter Griffin.
Oh, okay. Yes. Close but no cigar.
But so far.
I think I was maybe predispositioned to that because half of my family are Griffiths. Oh. So I think that's where that came from. Okay.
Well,
but it was Captain Griffith. And you're right, Peter Griffin?
Griffin. You're totally right, though, that most names on this show are picked purposefully. Mm-hmm. But I can't say. Maybe it's Griffith Park.
Maybe.
I just can't say outright.
Maybe they just said Griffin with a lisp.
Griffin with a...
Griffith.
Possible.
I don't know. Ed was great, though, with his, I stopped the Kalon. I stopped the Kalon. The guy that had to wear his shirt in the pool till he was 20.
Oh, you know that like that probably did happen to real Seth too. I think they did such a good job in this episode without hitting us over the head with it of insecurity, the impact other people have in our life. You see him really question me. I'm gonna we see him go through a whole arc of questioning his ability to command and then having to take
and
it.
he hasn't gone through that in this.
Yeah,
I'm sure he learned something, when he was commanding the space station, the Epsilon Eridani space station, but not nearly as much of his command abilities. I'm sure weren't tested and proven to himself the way they have been as captain of the Orville. So he still had yet to go through, all of that. Character development that we saw, especially early in season 1, where he was taking his place. It
goes back to what Kelly told Gordon in Lasting Impressions, which is like, we're the sum total of the people we know. Mm-hmm. Without Kelly, he wouldn't have had the confidence or that push to get there. So, yeah. And that probably is more to talk about in the serious part of this podcast. But I really did like that they didn't over-explain it, talk about it too much, just let us go on that journey with him.
Yeah, so many quick hits in this one, and so many little kind of things, including the return of the expression. Do you want to open this jar of pickles for me?
Pickle. And also referring to Halston Sage's character being short but mighty.
Yeah. So he actually said that to Tala You want to open this jar of pickles for me, which is great because he never had used that, that he probably has refrained from using that expression with Tala because of how special it was between him and Alara. Right. So I thought that was neat that it came back.
I agree with you. I think it would feel like cheating if he said it to her, knowing that other women had experienced that.
So if you had to take a shuttle from orbit into an ocean,
okay,
would you kind of maybe land on the water and then submerge, or would you just hit that water at conceivably hundreds of miles per hour with everybody standing up?
The same thing really confused me too.
Now, I don't know what kind of like inertial dampeners those things have, or or people kind of being held in place by some sort of like invisible force doohickey. I don't know. It just looked really odd when they went just hauling into that water, which I think what's the I don't really know the science behind it per se, but I think when you hit water at anything over about 80 miles an hour, it's as hard as hitting something solid.
Breakneck speed.
I like that breakneck speed.
Yeah, they would be dead.
Ludicrous speed.
You're a couple times they got, basically should have been all rocked off their rockers, and they just went poof. And so
that was it.
Just a little bit of suspension of disbelief.
And there might be some sort of deflector thing that kind of softened up the water for him ahead of time. I'll live with it.
Listen, just like you got to hit the Earth in a certain trajectory with a certain opening. Yep. I'm sure that they also hit the ocean at the right.
It's science. I don't know how shuttlecraft 400 years in the future work. Maybe they have a thing that lets them go into water. I don't know. You notice there were no fishes? All the fish were dead?
Excepting fishes.
So in this case,
also fishes.
There is nothing left on Earth, including fishes.
That's interesting. I didn't catch it with regards to that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of like going back and like sort of counting all of the throwbacks to earlier episodes, and I didn't even realize this when we did our previous discussion about Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. The Aronoff device is from episode 1, Old Wounds. Dr. Aronoff, the quantum accelerator, the thing that accelerated time, aka the anti-banana ray, which also apparently works on other fruit and a salad, is kind of Isaac's. That's the thing that Isaac's been futzing with this whole time. That kind of caused this whole mess.
I didn't even put that together. To be fair, I also have low retention again with specifics, but that is so cool.
It is. So lots of neat throwbacks on this. Also, were you a Firefly fan at all?
I did watch a couple episodes after, maybe a couple years ago, and I just didn't stick with it. I think one day I will. Probably.
So not the big bad in that series was more or less the establishment, the governing body.
Got it.
But much like in The Walking Dead, the zombies aren't the bad guys. They're just kind of an obstacle everybody has to overcome. Right? The bad guys are usually other people that are, being bad.
Right.
In Firefly, the Reavers were kind of that, we're going to scavenge and we're going to, cut your skin off and make suits out of it.
Okay, so, I thought I did recognize that because I did watch far enough into Firefly to remember that they're like pretty savage in that way.
They are, and as it turns out, you'll find out that
it was Firefly.
Yeah, that they too were victims. And speaking of other franchises brought into this, I know Norman C. Lau would never forgive us if we didn't mention that Babylon 5, the fifth and final space station in the Babylon project, located in neutral space in the orbit of Epsilon 3 near Epsilon Eridani. Boom. Bringing Babylon 5 into it.
Boom. It means nothing to me.
So I love the fact that you brought up the science behind hiding inside an event horizon. You're like, hey, science checks out. Sounds good to me.
It probably does. And we have to buy that John Lamar is real smart.
He is. So we don't know what ships in the future are capable of, right?
Right. Including fighting the resistance of being sucked into a black hole.
Sure. So the event horizon is the distance from a black star from which nothing, not even light, can escape. And they always kind of use that phraseology. Nothing, not even light, can escape. And they use that to hide from the Kaelon. Because the light can't escape, so then the Kaelon couldn't see past the event horizon. I will say that people use that expression often. Scientists, nothing, including light, can escape.
Right.
Well, apparently, in the future, nothing except a shuttlecraft, a Union shuttle, can escape. So, man, that thing's it got some good thrusters.
It can go underwater.
Yeah.
At breakneck speed.
Uh-huh.
And
sure
it can survive a black hole.
Yeah, it can.
We learned a lot.
We did. Science. That's science, Jessica.
Boom. I mean, it was so cool, though, too, just to see. It had like see the Kaelon pop around because seconds were hours, and it's fascinating.
That was really neat. The visualization of the black hole reminded me very much of Interstellar. It's also
I was just going to say, I forgot the name again because I don't remember names. Mm-hmm. Interstellar, for sure. Very similar
to the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery, the dark matter anomaly, aka the DMA, had that same sort of kind of elliptical half eye look to it.
Aha.
I don't know. That seems to be the picturization du jour of a black hole. Also, the moon was all messed up, man.
Poor moon.
The poor moon. I think, in my head canon, that was nuclear disposal site A and B, both being ignited at the same time. In this case, did not launch the moon out of Earth's orbit to go on a crazy interplanetary adventure. Space 1999. Instead, the moon just blew up.
Got it.
Got a big chunk taken out of it.
Oh, that's so fascinating. I was going to say, because I did do an episode of Sci-Fi 5 on Space 1999. We also did an episode that I had the opportunity to record about, I think it was the Hubble. Was the Hubble the first thing to send us like high-res photos? Right?
Yes.
And how the internet, NASA used the internet for good before it became what it is today to share those.
Hey, we're using it for good, too.
To some, well, sort.
You and I are using it for good.
A little bit. But that every time we get better and better pictures of space, it does inform our science fiction writers and media to create space with that. So it must be the most recently agreed upon look of a black hole that they're pulling from. Because I did the Sci-Fi 5s for March last week, was the letter between Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley Kubrick that begot Space Odyssey 2001.
Yes. And
there was a mission that was supposed to return shots from the moon that didn't take correct. And then the next one did, or like Space 7 did get them pictures from the moon. So we've been doing that with NASA step by step to get as detailed an understanding of space as possible so that it reflects in our science fiction as well as possible.
Yeah, and they were very vested in seeing those pictures because they wanted to portray the surface of the moon correctly in the movie. So that's why they were so
You're so right, but also it was like so important that they got the moon right for the fake moon landing so that like we believed it. To this day.
You ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right.
See you on the other side.
All right.
All right, so we've come to the part of the show where we're going to discuss the morals and ethical decisions of the show, and we get the big ideas of The Road Not Taken. We're going to discuss the messages, morals, and meanings, and talk about whether this show episode aligns with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy. So, what do you think, Mike?
Well, we made the decision to separate out Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow from The Road Not Taken, because I think they are very different episodes. They're sort of distinct, episodes. It wasn't necessarily a to be continued. It wasn't, I think there was a beginning, a middle, and an end of each one. Now, the end of the first one did significantly impact the second one. Right. But I think the common thread between both of them was sort of the scene of, or the theme, of regret and how to handle your past actions and maybe how to make up for them, compensate for them, undo them if you can do that. Whereas with, Tomorrow, Ed's regret over how he handled his relationship with Kelly really came to be a central theme in that show. Whereas if you go all the way back to Old Wounds, he basically blamed Kelly for cheating on him. Now he's grown, he's evolved, he's taken personal responsibility, and he realized that, wow, it was gone a lot. I was commuting to this, faraway place to put my career first, and, you were, lonely and neglected, and that led to the affair. So he was trying to deal with that regret by dating past Kelly. Or as we used the analogy of, dating Kelly's little sister.
I hate men, but carry on.
So not a great way to make it up to present Kelly.
No.
Not a great way to confront the actual situation that he found himself in. No. But still, I think the theme of regret was there, or do-overs. I would say
different ways to deal with it, right? Or yeah, totally,
exactly. So this week was different. This week was a what if episode, right? And so many TV shows do what if episodes.
Yeah.
One Tree Hill. There was the episode where Lucas was born. As
you watched that show?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not judging you. I've never watched an episode.
Typical kind of biblical story. There's a dad. He impregnates two different women in high school. One of them he shuns, he pushes away, he says no to. The other one he marries because she comes from money.
Oh my goodness! I hate men.
Yeah, so the baby. Dan Scott is. I mean, just like Star Wars, the first 6 episodes is the Anakin Skywalker tragedy. This is very much the Dan Scott tragedy. Be that as it may, one kid grows up in a very well-to-do, privileged household. The other one is working class, and his mom takes care of him, and he takes care of his mom, and circumstances kind of throw them together later on in life, and they have to learn to work with each other and come to terms with how their dad treated them. But there was a what if episode where the roles were switched, where Lucas, played by Chad Michael Murray, became the privileged kid, and Nathan became the kind of working class kid. Huh. So they did a what if episode. So One Tree Hill isn't the only thing we talk about on Mission Log the Orville. We also talk about Grey's Anatomy that has a what? Many? Do they do one a season? Do they just do one?
That's a really great question. They have found ways to jump the shark many times. There is actually a great what if season where basically if Meredith Grey had maintained a good if Meredith Grey's mother had indeed left her father to be with Richard, and then how that would have informed her relationship with her mother going forward. She was going to she was interested in Alex Karev, and her and Christina weren't friends, and it was.
And Lexi was like a crackhead.
I think that's right.
I remember crackhead or punk rock Lexi. Lexi was in a bad way.
That's right. I mean, I actually forgot that element, but yes, we do see like, you know, her not being a twisted sister. She like wears a pink headband or something. That imagery of that episode does stick out in my mind pretty heavily.
So have you done a What If episode on Heartbeats?
Oh, that's a great question. So Heartbeats is improvised. I'm so glad you asked. Heartbeats is improvised. So there's several times where it's like, ooh, we could do a What If, because basically my character, the lead character, Annabelle Love, without getting too far into it, her father dies right before the series really starts. So there's a world where her father doesn't die, and there was a world 2 where we were going to end season 2. So it's improv, but there's like certain things I could see happening, where I hit my head, I wake up in season 3, and we see a few episodes of what it would be like if my dad was still alive and running the hospital. So, we did also find a way of justifying a ghost showing up on our show. So, and it turned out, you know, it was Halloween and it worked out really well. And there was some regret and moving on themes in that episode. We have not done the What If episode necessarily because we do let the improv dictate the show. But if you're interested, go to ripleyimprov.com and you can watch a season and a half of an amazing show called Heartbeats.
Absolutely. And you should probably take a look at Sophia Bush's new show, speaking of One Tree Hill, called Good Sam, which I think may have stolen some ideas from your show. Not going to lie. I think you got a lawsuit.
It happens. There's some things that...
The most sincere form of flattery.
Here's the thing. There's a thing, when Orville first came out, I was really mad because it's what I felt the improvised generation should have done, which is kind of divorce itself from Star Trek, but find the way to parody love Star Trek, right? And there's some similar character tropes that we had in the improvised gen. What it says to me is when things like that happen, where like, there was actually some storylines kind of that were similar in our glam show that was happening in Glow. So we were the gorgeous ladies of arm matches with Ripley Improv, and then Glow was the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. I don't think the writers came to see our show, but there were some similar like lines, right? What it says to me more than they stole our ideas is we were improvising so closely to the source material and loved it so well that we were able to intimate what kind of stories would be told. It's like, you know, it's kind of like how two people have the same idea.
Yeah.
Like, I should have patented it. It's all in the ether somewhere, and you got to ride that Freudian train.
That's a great, that's awesome. And it wouldn't be an episode of Mission Line of the Orville if we didn't talk about Friends. There was the What If where Joey and Monica got married, and Joey just got big and fat and fatter and fatter and fatter, eating all of Monica's food. So that's about all I remember that.
Well, there's another one where if Rachel ended up marrying Barry,
that's the more complete. That's the better example.
Oh, they're both fun, right? They're both fun. I actually love it because Monica and Chandler still end up no matter what. And it's real cute. It's just kind of fun to see them play role reversal, but then go, oh, this is so, you know. I'm sure it's like a bottle episode, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, we don't know what else to write this week, so let's just put them in.
So, and I think the difference, you know, when we look at, you know, things like It's a Wonderful Life or, you know, the episode of TNG Tapestry where Q gives Picard a chance to see what life would be like if he wasn't such a badass and, you know, didn't get stabbed through the heart in a bar in, you know, when he was back at the academy, or at least a whole bunch younger. And you get to see that difference, and you appreciate what you have versus what you don't have. I think what's kind of missing in this episode is that, you know, once the timeline resets, nobody's going to know what they had versus what they didn't have. Which is sad. It was still kind of a neat exercise in seeing what, different actions. And I tell you what, man, David A. Goodman's kind of connecting the dots of, okay, if they don't get together,
so smart.
Ed Mercer's never captain. Claire's going to go somewhere else where she feels like she's needed.
Right.
Probably the doctor of the Epsilon Eridani space station.
That guy's
to help Ed there.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And then the kids wouldn't be friends with Isaac, and then he wouldn't turn against his people. That's a brilliant, you know, cascade of thoughts based on, what if Kelly doesn't go out with him again? So I think that was brilliant. But, as always, I don't know that I've necessarily, probably at least since the episode Sanctuary, which was, 2 episodes ago, really sang the praises of Adrienne Palicki, but, and her character, Kelly Grayson. But the fact that she was able to round everybody up and build trust so quickly and build that team so quickly really says a lot about her, her character, and how able she was to build that kind of trust when folks probably would not really believe stories of alternate timelines and time travel and things like that.
So, without being uber feminist about it, I will say it's like unfortunate that this woman's life is so vastly affected by the fact that a man isn't in it.
Yeah.
It's a little much, but it's also... But it makes sense. I'm not saying it's errant. I'm not saying it's like out of control or unbelievable. It's just funny if you think about it. Like super. Like she would have lived, but she is still self-sufficient, right? She's a awesome leader. She galvanizes them. So yeah, I just say that to just point. Shine light on that. It's very funny.
It's a good point. And you could just as easily say, had they broken up, Kelly would have gotten on with her career. She would have been captain of the Orville. She would have defeated the Kalon. Certainly it could have gone down that road also. Maybe that was a different road not taken.
Right. Exactly.
Because at the beginning of the show, we were kind of like, why is she not a captain if she is so competent? In my head canon, there's an age difference between Ed and Kelly. And I think that comes from the fact that there's an age difference between Adrienne Palicki and Seth MacFarlane. So if he has been in for 10 years and now he's eligible for promotion and she's only been in for 6,
right?
And she's not, that's kind of where that comes from.
Yes,
kind of in my mind.
And I'm not suggesting that she should be a captain. I think you're right that like it all lines up just fine, right? Yeah. It is just funny though. Like it does not pass the Bechdel test in that way.
It does not, because they are talking about a man, but just and also with the building trust quickly. In my profession, we work with different teams of people, sometimes multiple times a day. We'll get different different crews that we work with in different cities and different bases and things like that. So to build trust quickly, what we tell people is you've got to be competent. You have to know your stuff. And you have to put the interests of other people, of your team members, ahead of your own and lead with empathy. And if you do those things, then you can build trust quickly and build a team quickly. And I saw her doing those things.
She was nailing it with regards to that. Yeah, she seemed like a super badass. And you're right, like that's something that can happen with improv. Sometimes you get thrown into a show with someone new you've never performed with, you didn't rehearse. How do you build that trust right away? And it's usually by being vulnerable, and that's something we've talked a lot about too.
It is.
So one of the things I want to ask you is if you knew that like one decision in your life would change the regretful things in your life, would you change it?
Are we going back to lasting impressions now, Jessica? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, I don't want to cry.
No. It's, would I do it? I think by hook or by crook, I'm in a pretty good place right now. Kids are doing well. Career's going fine. Miraculously, I find myself still married to the same wife. That'll be, soon to be 20 years. Just kidding. Blissfully, blessingly, whatever. I'm still married. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
I'm still standing.
After all this time. So I would say that by hook or by crook, I'm in a pretty good place right now. So if I did want to go back and correct some of those mistakes, I don't know where I'd be. Might be worse, which is exactly the point Ed made. You go back in time, you kill Adolf Hitler, maybe you make things worse. You never know.
Right.
So would I go back and do things differently? I don't know. I don't think so. If my life was...
quote, how do you cope with the regret of decisions that you've made?
Life ain't about how hard you hit. It's how hard you get hit and keep moving forward.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a Rocky quote. Sorry.
No, I like it.
I can't help. So I wouldn't be looking backwards. I would be looking to take the knowledge, skill, and judgment that I've learned from my experience and apply that going forward. And, we're kind of stealing a little bit from next segment, but that's what it is. I think that's the most healthy way that I can deal with choices that I wish I had made differently, is to learn from them. And if I'm in a similar situation, or if I can help somebody else who's in a similar situation, either let myself benefit from that experience or pass that on to somebody who might be willing to listen to, me, which is a very small subset of people.
But you'll be there at the right time if someone does need it. I think what I love about this episode, besides, like you said, the joy of a what if and the different ways things can play out, is how much connection does dictate our life. And sometimes, like chemistry, we can't help our chemistry and our draw to somebody, and sometimes that's for good or for worse. But the love that Claire was able to find with Isaac changed the course of history too. Right. I mean, she did love him. They loved each other in a weird way. But even after 7 years, Ed wants to go on a date with Kelly again. They have never vibed better than on this show, and that's kind of the. You could think it's tragic because the timeline does end so violently. Right. But it also shows that when you strip other things away, the career issues and other issues, that they really do love each other, and they are really, I would dare I say, right for each other. Yes. It's kind of also nice to see not their tenured love, but to see their exciting new love too. Mm-hmm. It is. If you didn't ship them before, you have to ship them now.
Oh, if you didn't ship them, then you got ice water in your veins. I mean, and I'm going to be doubly mad if she's still going to be like, well, we're senior officer and come on. I just can't handle it anymore. Stop edging us. Problem is, she's not going to, none of them are going to remember this timeline, really. We'll see what a couple years does to the crew. Yeah, which is sad. So, a lot of sci-fi homages in this one, Right. I think we talked about most of them. Got Star Trek, Next Gen, Enterprise, Voyager. I think they were all in there. Right. Star Wars. There was a lot of Star Wars. I loved Yaffet's peeking his face out of the peephole. So that was totally Star Wars. The music on when the crew got onto the Orville, the Deepwater Orville. Right. Something. Deepwater Orville, New Horizons. Event Horizon Deep Impact. Was very reminiscent of the Alien franchise, and we had the Reavers. Maybe a little reference to the Reavers from Firefly, and the whole Deepwater thing reminded me of the Abyss. Because it's so funny. I thought about James Cameron trying to find the Titanic, and I was like, this is the other Titanic, but you're so right. It's 100% the Abyss when he's going deeper and deeper into pressure, and that's so true. Yeah. I love that movie. So, I guess it's time we got to ask, do you think the road not taken aligned with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy? Was there a Star Trek message, moral meaning, that you were able to kind of pluck out of here, or? I think, yes, again, I do not like when people full stop say that this is a better Star Trek show than the majority of the Star Trek shows going on. I just want to be on that high horse for a second. I think let this be a different show. Get over yourselves. Let the other Star Trek shows that maybe you don't like exist and shut up. But this show does exemplify so many different things about what it's like to be human and the human experience, including if I had only made this choice, if I only done this differently. In a weird way, it's kind of walking back on that. She made the choice not to date him, so they should just live with that. And yet they're going back in time to change
the timeline yet again to make a different choice, right? That being said, learning how to not necessarily make a silver lining, because it's actually not, silver linings are not as great as we think they are, but
still a cloud.
They can, well, yeah, it's not the best way to empathize with someone. It's not the best way to heal, is to go, at least this is great. But when times are tough, you can find joy in them and love and connection. And there's an argument to be made that life doesn't stop being tough. And it's just, we're just, so like, you really shouldn't begrudge the tough times, because it does, it informs the good times too.
That's a really good point. I had not seen that in this episode, but like you said, I like that. I learned something from you right there. That let me see if I understand it correctly. That even if things aren't perfect, even if things aren't ideal, there's things to enjoy, things to appreciate, things that, to love and to be loved in those times as well. And
it's really hard to know how precious they are if you don't have the converse.
Right.
And yes, it sucks. Like, if we could have a little less struggle, a little less pain in this life, it would be nice. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be something that's tough. So, yeah.
Well, I looked at last week and this week as sort of two sides of the same coin. One was where, Ed finally, I think, came to terms with his responsibility for the failure of their marriage. And he wanted to try. And he realized the attempt was ill-conceived after, a night out at the nightclub.
Yes.
But he did realize it was ill-conceived and that it felt weird, and he did, I think, ultimately make the right decision. But he was dealing with his regret of how in his part in that relationship.
Right.
This episode, Kelly, I think, regretted turning Ed down and getting half the galaxy wiped out. And her way of dealing it was to actually go back in time and fix it.
Right.
So I think both episodes dealt with regret and kind of how to deal with it. Now, we don't have an Aeronoff device. We don't have the ability to slingshot around the sun or set up a tachyon field and follow a Borg vessel back to First Contact Day, which, as of the date of this recording, we are recording this on First Contact Day.
2022?
Well, it was 2063, but it was April 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Maybe I live long enough, probably.
I think we both will. I think, of course, by then I'll be uploaded into my robot body. So
exactly. It's funny. We talked about that at the WonderCon panel.
Yeah, if I can just make it about another 30 years, I think I'll have a nice new robot body.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Buses.
So we don't have the ability to time travel. So what can we do, right? We can't go back and undo choices we've made before. You can apologize to people. You can take responsibility. You can try to make it right. You can try to make up for your actions if you can. But, that emotion that's focused on the belief that some event from the past, that you can change it in order to produce a more desirable outcome, you can't go back in time. What you can do, though, is move forward, right? One way to cope with feelings. And this came from verywellmind.com. So I spent some time reading about regret, which is defined as an emotion focused on the belief that some event from the past could have been changed in order to produce a more desirable outcome. It's a type of thinking which involves imagining the ways your life might have gone differently, often focusing on being disappointed or regretful, focusing on the past and assigning blame to yourself for those choices are kind of key aspects of it. The reason why regret feels so awful is because by its nature, it implies that there's something you could have done, or more, truthfully, something that I could have done, some choice I could have made, or some action I might have taken that would have made something good happen or avoided something terrible. One way to help cope with feelings of regret is to use those experiences to fuel future action. Consider what might have changed and done differently, but instead of ruminating over what cannot be changed, reframe it as a learning opportunity that will allow you to make better choices in the future. Because in reality, at the time, you might not have been capable of making a better choice, simply because you didn't have the knowledge, skill, or judgment to predict the outcome. You made the choice you did based on what you knew at the time and the tools and information you had at your disposal. Remind yourself of that because of what you learned in the past. You now have the knowledge to make a better choice the next time you encounter a similar dilemma. So that came from verywellmind.com, and I got something out of reading it. And, you know, again, in my profession, we are always kind of looking at decisions we made and choices we made and how a flight went or how a day went or how an interaction with a team went. And the very last step in our decision-making process is to think about what you could have done better, not to change the outcome, but to improve your performance going forward. And that's what I got out of this episode.
I think that's beautiful. I think it's something that we all can relate to. I know rumination has been the bane of my existence sometimes, and learning how to forgive yourself and move forward is hard.
It is, and I don't want to make it sound easy, because I spent a good 10 years of my life wishing I could go back and undo some mistakes or what I perceived as mistakes at the time. However, fortunately, at some point, I was able to kind of power through those obstacles and look back as a learning experience. And it's easy to do when things work out. It's easy to do when it's in your past. It's easy to do when you've moved on. It's not easy to do when you're living with that regret. And I think regret is a tool that you can use to make positive changes going forward. And if you're living with it and dealing with it right now, just try to reframe it as a lesson learned and something you can use to benefit yourself and others going forward.
I think that sounds great. Thanks, Mike. Mission Log the Orville is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Technical production by the irrepressible Earl Green. Our website and your opportunity to connect and comment is podcast.roddenberry.com. That's what it is.
That's what it is. You know how to do it. Join us next time on Mission Log the Orville as we discuss the Orville New Horizons, Episode 1.
So cool.
Working title, Electric Sheep.
Ooh. This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.